website. Let's get the Twitters sent out. Make sure the bot's in there. And we... Oh, almost put that on the wrong one. Where did I put it? There it is. And we should be good to go. So, hello everyone, this is Chris Ingerson, and it is the last day of July. Man, summer is just flying by. And this is the July 31st, TextQuest Devstream. So, today I'm going to be talking a little bit about Pixel Pop, which I was over at this past weekend. And I'm also going to try to work on a test menu for an idea that I was talking with I'll get to that when we get there. I guess to start, Pixel Pop went pretty well. It was about the same size as last year in terms of foot traffic, I feel, but there were a few more developers, so things were a little bit more spaced out, just in terms of foot traffic. But in general, reception was positive. There were no real game-breaking bugs, which is always a good thing. There are, of course, some minor issues. There are always minor issues that can be ironed out. So there are things that I'm going to be addressing throughout the week, but the main thing that I would like to work on today is a prototype menu, which I probably really should work on off air, but I'm curious to see if we can get this working. Which is essentially like a radial web menu. So think something like Mass Effect's inventory selection, where you pull up a radial menu and you can select from various options. I would like to test that out to see if I can get a controller to work with this. Because obviously one of the biggest limitations with TextQuest is that it requires a keyboard. And it would be cool if I could get it to function with a controller so that I could maybe do something like Steam Link support. So you could just, stream the game to your couch and then play the game on your couch. I have no guarantees that that is actually going to go well. Oh, and you know what? No, that's fine. I have no guarantees that that's going to go well or that I'll be able to pull it off properly. But it would be a cool, potentially really, really nice idea. Just because that would open up quite a few avenues for me, I feel. So I would like to just kind of mess around with that a little bit today. And if we get stuck on that, no need to fret because, well, I have a few easy notes that we could just switch over to from Pixel Pop. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you what I have currently, which is not much, admittedly. I have put together a basic test script that will let me spawn elements arbitrarily along an edge. So let's go ahead and I guess I should probably give this a darker background so it's a little easier to see. Let's go ahead and just do an image. Do that, have it stretch, make it black with like 200 there. And then I'm actually just going to go ahead and put this directional light is fine. Let's change you to be red so it's a little bit easier to see. So what I have here is basically I give it an arbitrary number of inputs that I want, as well as a circle in the form of a rect transform sprite, and it will automatically calculate out width and angles for where to position the elements. So you can see here that I wanted to spawn 4 of these, therefore it spawned them at 1, 2, 3, 4, because this is math, and math likes to work this way for some reason. So it positions them equidistant from one another, and then our color is just used to kind of show what their index is. So I could crank this to 8, and we would have pretty much the same thing, but with 4 more on the crossroads. Assuming that it decides to actually do it. Yep. So you can see that it's a little bit more fine. And what I would like to do, starting from this very, very basic prototype, I wouldn't even call this a prototype, I would call this the start of a prototype, is basically make it so that with a controller, which I need to apparently, wow, oh man, I did that stupidly. I really should have untangled my controller before the dev stream instead of trying to do so afterwards. There we go. That's a little better. I don't know why I'm getting this out because you can't even see what my fingers are doing with it. But essentially, I would like it so that you could control a little dot in the center and then go out to one of these points to select from, say, nouns, verbs, adjectives, miscellaneous, whatever. Just as a way to uh, select from the list of words in the dictionary. Um, so let's go ahead and start by, I guess the first thing we would want to do is, well, create a little bit more of an in-depth test. So we can spawn the elements at the correct positions, so we know that. I probably actually want to add a little bit of changes here. I probably want this to be based off of, instead of a circle, an arc. Um, So once this pulls up, I currently have a function that I threw together to calculate the points on a circle. But most likely what I would want to do, actually, you know what, this would be a good time to pull up Photoshop to kind of show what I would want. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a new thing. I'm just going to make this, we'll do 512 by 512. That's usually a good size. Click on that just so I can come back here. Okay. So real quick, let's go ahead and just get this filled in. Okay. So imagine that this was our radial note. Not that. Hold on. Really? You're going to be like that, huh? I could have sworn. Well, thanks, Photoshop. Now I don't know where you are. Huh. Well, there used to be a thing that I could do here that would let me control if it was using a fill or not. Interesting. When did they move that? Apparently whenever they just decided to do so. So great, now I gotta hunt that down. Let's see. Paragraph style properties watches. It's weird. You'd think that there would be a... I mean, is it not a smart shape? No, it totally is. It's just not... Huh. Well, great. Photoshop got rid of something that I was expecting to be there. Now I'm just going to kind of fumble around for a little bit. What the frig? Okay. Well, this is embarrassing. I have to look up how to do something on Photoshop on on the air. Let's see. Huh. Oh, good. All of my tutorials for that are going to be like years old. Weird. I wonder when they made this change, because I don't remember it being like this a couple months ago. Hmm. Oh, it's because it's pixels. That's why. Okay. I thought that was weird. Okay. Well, now that I've thoroughly embarrassed myself on air, let's go ahead and change our thickness a little bit too. Something like that. And we'll make it 12. 16, because that's a good number. Okay. So pretty easy there. You know, we have a basic circle there. But what would be nice is if I was able to essentially just make like an arbitrary arc here. That way I could leave the bottom to exclusively be used by a back label. So we would have that at the bottom. And then for everything else, I'm actually going to cheat here. I'm going to make this like 50% opacity just so that it's kind of hidden away a little bit. I might even actually make it 25 or potentially lower, but that's fine. So we could do stuff like, you know, nouns. Let's go ahead and lock this as well so that I don't accidentally end up doing anything to it. So we do nouns, verbs, adjectives, miscellaneous, I think. Let's see. Yeah, those are the four that I thought of. I mean, I could do more specific things like prepositions, which might be a thing, I guess. Probably do that. So things like, so that's super long, so probably not that. Yeah, definitely not that. So we probably do something like this. Oh, hold on. Should it actually choose to let me move it? So probably something like this. And then we would have a little dot in the center here. No, which I guess I would actually, hold on. Now I can change it to pixels. So we'd have like a little dot in the center here. And then we would just move it around as we make our selection. So we would move it from the center, which I guess I'm going to go ahead and color as... I've not colored a pixel one before, so let's see how well this goes, because I'm guessing it's not going to go well. Made it a little bit more of an octagon, but whatever, it's fine. Also, hello, cool. Welcome back. Wait, what? What do you mean spell miscellaneous properly? I spell I mean, that's the abbreviation for miscellaneous. uh, but anyway, so the idea here is that we would basically just drag this around to like verbs, and then when we do that, it would go one more level down. It would select. Oh, you know what? For verbs, that's kind of less interesting. And this is actually one of the things that I wanted to prototype out, so it might end up being a design question that we reach at the end of the day. But so for now, I'm going to avoid verbs actually. Instead, I'm going to go to nouns. So if I go to nouns, then it'll pull up, nouns, and we'll see a little. Hold on. It's up here. See a little thing that says nouns up at the top here. And I guess I should probably group these so they're a little bit easier to look at. Okay, I think we want that. Put those in the base. Oh. Yeah, okay. Now let's go ahead and put another one in here. This is going to be for our nouns view. So if I turn that all off, actually I'm going to go ahead and move the back out because back is always going to be there for visual consistency's sake. It's not good enough. Nothing's ever good enough for you, man. Okay, so let's say I've selected that I want to go into nouns. From there, I'll be able to do things. I'll be able to do probably something like, so A, B, C, and then, all the way down until we get back up to Z, essentially. Got terrible positioning considering that I'm just kind of like eyeballing these. But the idea being that all of your options would be displayed on a radial web interface is how I was referring to it. I guess radial is honestly just the better way to go to it. So you would, again, for this, you would drag the dot up. You would put it on, I guess it probably should also have this be above everything else. So you drag it up to A, and after you pick A, then we would change the interface. So instead of having a radial menu, we would have potentially very strange menu where it's using both analog sticks, one to like scroll through a list, and then a radial menu that would basically let you type more letters to narrow down your choice. But the idea is that I would like to be able to allow people that are using controllers to actually interact with the system in a meaningful way. And I think this interface would allow me to do that. It's just a matter of getting it to look right. So let's go ahead and try to just build this in Unity, because I think we have enough of a mock-up that we can get stuff working. So again, this is what it looks like currently, where we have it just spawning the elements, but we don't actually have them being interactable or anything like that yet. So we are capable of spawning them equidistant from one another based on a given amount of them. But we do need to probably add, let's go to math extensions, and I am going to, I'm going to add an initial angle option to this. Potential, yeah, I guess I would probably just do this. All we're going to do here is say angle plus equals initial angle. Okay, so that will let me arbitrarily rotate it so that I don't have to worry about the fact that currently the placement starts at the right instead of the bottom or the top. Although we do still need to calculate out points along an arc, which is one of the more annoying things to do because I've forgotten how to actually calculate that. So I'm going to probably actually not do that. Instead, I think we're going to work just within a circle for now, and then I'll change it over to it. Oh, and there goes my notes. Hold on. All right, there we are. Still getting used to the new office layout just because roommate moved in last weekend, 2 weekends ago. I'm still getting used to the layout of everything. My desk still feels weird, even though it's the exact same desk. It's just in a different spot, so I'm getting used to it again. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to come up to here, and I'm going to, let's go ahead and just give this a public float rotation. I'm going to say 0f there, and then in here, we're going to go ahead and say initial rotation. Okay, that's fine. And now, if we wanted to, we'll be able to, if we give it an initial rotation of 90 degrees, then it should start populating from up here, as opposed to on the far right. Oh, by the way, cool. I forgot to ask. How are you tonight? At least I think I forgot to ask. Unless at this point congeniality is just a muscle memory and I don't actually remember if I did it or not. It's entirely possible. Go ahead and grab this. We'll give it an initial rotation of 90 degrees. So now our white dot should be at the top there. Yep. Nice. So it's generating here. Cool. So let's go ahead and first up, do I have any circular interface that's not just this really terrible knob? Because that would be great. The answer is no. So I guess we're going to have to kind of just live with its ugliness for now. But I can go ahead and create a new image, and that image will be about there, probably about there, that's fine. Probably would actually end up being your favorite color, but for now we're just going to make it that. We're going to give it a 10 and 10, so that's our positioning. Let's go ahead and start naming these. There's our reticle. And from there, we're going to have this be our background. And we're going to blow this up to be, I'm guessing 200 by 200 might be enough. Maybe 300 by 300. Oop, not that much. Oh god, that's going to get so ugly because it's just so pixelated. Ugh. Okay, and this is just our background, so I guess we could probably actually go ahead and put everything else under here. Alright, So that's our current setup. And again, our current menu will actually dynamically change based off of how, or what the size of our rect transform is, or based on the size of our rect transform. Although, yep, I'm a little worried about this because I think we're going to get some visual disparity. Like it should be fine. These are accurate. It's just that because the image is so low resolution, it's going to look super bad. Ugh. Whatever. That's fine. I'll just have to make do. So the next thing to do is to get our reticle to move based off of our gamepad commands. So for that, we're probably going to want to do a couple of things. What would be good? I would probably want to clamp it so that it can't move outside of a given region, um, which means that I need to calculate if or what an angle would be based off of x and y input values. And you know what? I'm just gonna make an executive decision now. I do want to work on the radial menu, but I think I might not do it on the Devstream. Because as I was saying at the very beginning, I think it's a little too experimental for what I've not done before. So I'm probably just going to end up fumbling around going, so I'd like to actually work on it, I think, off air instead. Just until I can get something cool to show you guys, and then we can talk about it then. So for now, we'll actually shift gears. So let's go ahead and save, and then I'm going to jump over to our main splash screen. Scenes, other, splash fade. Okay. And one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of wander through the intro area to talk about a few things that I've noticed at Pixel Pop that would be low-hanging fruit for me to fix, and it would actually give us a fair amount of usability gains. So let's go ahead and, oh dear, that was a very long lag spike. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and say start, and we're gonna do a new game. Say my name is Chris. Yes, normal, right-handed, green, yes, and yes. Okay, so that's our loading screen. So one of the things that I would like to do is, although actually here before I forget, I do want to test this to make sure everything does feel right. I did get a chance to test mouth smoothing, by the way, which is something that I did not get to do at previous conventions. And it seemed like people were pretty okay with it. I prefer Quake 1 style, like one-to-one movement. But this is with 15 frames of sampling for smoothing. So things are kind of nice. They're not super floaty. Actually, when I set it up at the convention, I made a mistake, and I think I cranked this to like 30. And that ended up being, I'm sure, really floaty for the person who was playing with it. Although it was interesting because the person that I turned it on for was someone that was very clearly not used to mouse controls. So they were having a hard time sort of keeping track of the one-to-one movement that I like and that I feel like a lot of PC gamers like. So turning on mouse smoothing for players that have that, I guess, how to phrase it, that aren't used to this type of one-to-one sudden move and sudden stop jerky controls, the mouse smoothing is really a help there. So I'm very glad that we added that. But anyway, one of the other things that I was taking note of is that I did have a few people that ran through this hall, and they didn't really know what to do here. So this is something that has kind of come up in the past, and I've been a little slow to address it because I wasn't sure if I wanted to address it or not. But it's not unusual for players that are playing for the very first time and have no idea what a text adventure is, for them to just like say, okay, E or click to interact when near an object, a gold scepter, and then they'll close and then walk away. Like presumably it's because they're not realizing that they can type to actually interact. So what they would do is they would come up here and say, oh, it's a gold scepter, okay. Oh, it's a suit of armor, okay. Oh, it's a painting, okay. And basically they were just looking at the description and then closing the menu. They weren't trying to do anything there. Which obviously that's not their fault because I haven't explicitly told them to type anything. Usually what ends up happening is when they get to the door here, which, by the way, I do need to readdress. I need to actually do some minor model fixes in the castle because one of the things that I've noticed is that sometimes people don't recognize these as doors, and I am assuming that is because they are the same color as the walls, and they are also the size of the walls, whereas most doors that you're used to are there are obvious indentations in the wall. So, for example, this is, excuse me, hiccups. This is clearly a doorway. So obviously there's a door in it, but the silhouette of the doorway is what makes it instantly recognizable to you as a person who knows what doors are, that it is a door. But contrast that to the throne room doors, which are the entire size of the wall. It just looks like it's a dead end. Now, obviously, you do have stuff like carpets and the fact that it says door that should convey that it is not a dead end, but because of the color and because people might not be paying attention to it directly, it is something that is it is an issue that has come up multiple times. And it's not come up very often. I'd say it's happened less than maybe 5 times over the course of the past couple of years. But that is significant enough to me that I think I can make this better just by, I mean, really even just shrinking this door in to about there, honestly. Like just one plank of wood inwards, because then it would be it would just feel a lot more like a door. And that should be pretty easy to do because all it would mean me doing is just getting rid of one piece of wood's width of the door. So that's something I would like to do, and that is something that I don't think will be too bad to do. The other thing that I would like to do is actually add another introductory painting that says something along the lines of type take to take items. Because usually what happens is people interact with these items, they don't do anything, they don't type anything. They come over here, they see type open to open door, so they'll try to do it from here. They'll say not close enough, okay, so they get closer, and they'll type open. And then usually, not always, but usually, if they haven't already figured out to take stuff, they'll say, oh, I can type to open the doors. I wonder if that means I can come back here to take stuff. But that is a little bit of an odd flow of events. It would probably be preferable if they could just immediately... Oh my god, is there an offset? Oh, that is terrible. Well, I think that's going to be something I fix. But it would be nice for them to just have a painting over here, probably, I don't know, here maybe, that just says type take to take objects. And then people would probably try to do the same thing they do with open, which is where they actually try to type take without interacting with it. But one of the nice things about it, and this is one of the reasons why open is a nice word as well, is both of those contain the letter E, which is one of the default keys you can use to interact with. So just by typing those things into the keyboard, even if you're not interacting, because they both have the letter E, they will pull up interaction for you. So at the very least, you will see either, if you're from here and you try to type take, it'll say not close enough. And then if you actually are here, it'll actually try to interface with it, and then you are probably going to try to type take again. So having another painting that we can actually work with here, I think would really help with that small issue, and it's a pretty low-hanging fruit. So I think we're going to start with that, and then we will... I'm probably not going to do any model fixes on the air, just because that... Well, it wouldn't be too bad. I could probably do it. Let's go ahead and stop playing. Okay. Oh, shoot. Why did I do that? There was something else I wanted to test while I'm in there, so I'm going to do that again. Okay. this, type start. We're going to hit continue. Well, we're going to fix that. And that is enough of a bug that I'm going to do it right now. Let's go to main menu. Sorry, main view. So what just happened there is an issue that I've talked about before, but I haven't actually fixed it because I'm terrible at these sorts of things apparently. And that is if you hit continue before the stage can fade in, then essentially the black screen that does the fade in will stay solid black, which is obviously not a good thing. So, excuse me. Let's go ahead. Let's see if not DQ demo. Else can I continue demo? Yep, it's all good. So this is where we're going to need to do it. But actually, what I'm probably going to do is I'm pretty sure it's just called fade view, but I want to make sure that that's the case. Okay. So it should fade in the background. There. So now it's partially faded in. Let's go ahead and open up UI, view. Background fade is the thing that I want. So what we're going to do is when you continue, we're just instantly going to set the background fade to be completely transparent. So let's go ahead and we're just going to say UI.get background fade view dot fade out the duration of 0f, which should make it instant. Let's go ahead and stop playing, give that a shot. Now, this is actually one of the problems, and this is actually why I'm not going to actually end up doing it this exact way that I just did, where it's really quick. But I can't just let you immediately go into continue and just hard cut it from black to nothing, because the fade in is there so that the substances have time to finish rendering. So if I were to just kind of mash in here, oh, well, look at that. You didn't actually do it. Interesting. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. It's because I did that backwards. Fade in. Yeah, that was a silly mistake of mine. Let's try that again. I forgot that fade out means it's fading to a color. Fade in means it's fading from a color, not fade out as in fade out the black color or fade in. Whatever. Yeah, it's just, I need better naming conventions. To be fair, though, fade screens have always been a little wonky, because depending on your terminology, fade out could mean the same thing as someone else's fade in. It always gets a little messy, I feel. Anyway, so now this is what happens if we just do a hard load, where we don't actually wait for it to finish loading, we just say continue. And everything's blue. The real question is actually, I wonder if it's going to fix the... Oh, it might not. So that's another thing, I suppose. Our shadows are just going to be borked in that case because it doesn't have time to actually get the correct global illumination set up. So let's go ahead. Stop playing. So we can't just do that. Instead, we are going to have to do something a little weirder. Essentially, we're going to have to show the loading screen and then wait for it to well, not wait for it to finish, but wait for the level to actually finish loading before we can progress. And this actually lets us jump over real quick to the next topic that I wanted to fix or address, which is some minor load screen changes. Oh yeah, and that's a big one too. There's also a bug that it's not a bug, I guess it's expected behavior, it's an oversight, which is if you die and continue, then you will be facing quaternion dot identity, so zero rotation, regardless of whatever your previous spawn point was. And obviously you should face whatever the direction the spawn point is facing. So that's something else that we're going to fix. Anyway, I'm going to let this actually load in properly. And then I will continue. So now you can see the shadows are nice and crisp and they're not blue, which is the best part. And then I'm going to quit out. Skip through. I'm going to go to start. I am going to go ahead and we're going to do, not load, we're going to do a new game. Chris, yes, normal, right, green, yes, yes. Okay, so that is our initial load-in screen. We're going to quit out again. Okay, I don't like the pop-in, we got to address that. I'm going to go ahead and do another new game. Chris, yes, normal, right, green, yes, yes. Okay, now, the actual amount of time that it takes to load in is really short. In particular, once I have cached substances for a given level, they are much faster even. Some of them can last, I think, literally 1 second long, which is normally, obviously, you want your loading to be short, but it's actually been requested by multiple people that I slow down the loading screen so that it doesn't just like come in and then go away, because it shows things like lore. And it would be good if I could actually show that lore, or just, some minor animations for longer than 1 second, because it's kind of jarring when that happens. Ugh, excuse me. What I would like to do is create an arbitrary delay on my load screens. So they will basically last either however long it takes to load the level or 5 seconds, and it'll just pick whichever one is longer. So let's look for load view. Okay, I think it's load game view. This is what I want. Oh, that's load game, so now I want loading view. All right. And I should probably start. Let's see here. So we have our loading bar, and before we fade out, final references, which I'm pretty sure is just going to be done in finish load. Here we are. Let's find all references here. All right. And all I'm really going to do here is I'm just going to say, this is my level transition async. Yep. Cool. Okay. And let's go ahead. All I'm going to do is say float load time is equal to 5f. And we're just going to say load time minus equal time dot delta time. Okay, pretty basic stuff. And also, same thing down here. We're just going to say load time minus equals time dot delta time. Okay. And all I'm going to do is say if load time is greater than 0f, yield return null. And actually, I'm going to make that a while loop. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. Do the same thing. Load time minus equals time dot delta time. Sneezed so hard it made my made my throat close up. I'm allergic to sneezing. Okay. So now I should have an arbitrary load time of 5 seconds, or however long the actual loading process takes. So it'll be interesting because I'm intentionally making my loading screens longer, but not by much, and really only enough so that you can get a sense of what is loading. Because keep in mind that the loading screens that we see in the editor are also slower than the loading screens that we see in the player. And that's just because the editor also has a bunch of extra overhead that the actual player does not have. Okay, that's done. Let's go ahead and play. Click through here. Start the game. Okay, so you can see that we now have that arbitrary loading time, and then we can go away. Nice. Now let's go ahead and quit out. So now all of our substances should be cached, although I think I actually did change that so that in the editor they're not really cached ever, but regardless, I just want to test this. So we're going to say Chris, yes, normal, right, green, yes, and yes. So again, we now have an arbitrary 5 seconds, which gives us enough time to properly read it, and then we get dropped in. To test this even further, just gonna fly. Perfect. No one would ever suspect. Because honestly, the main culprit is this one. Ooh, that is not okay. That load time was a bit much. But just having that ability to actually see what those loading screens are doing is pretty nice. And I mean, it just lets players have a little bit more fun with it. I say that like they're missing out if they don't see loading screens, but I mean, sometimes it's enough of an issue that people have talked to me about it. So I feel like making it an arbitrary time is probably fine. I could even make it just that once it gets to be done, it waits for you to do any input before it progresses. That would probably be fine too. Actually, I might do that instead, because that way I'm not doing this awkward loading time thing. So let's get rid of this. This. Get rid of you. And all I'm going to do is at the end here, just say, while not input dot get any key down, then I'm just going to say yield return null. Okay. And is that actually what I want to do? No, I want to put that after the if there so that it's not stuck at 90%. Okay. So what this will do now is just, as long as the loading screen is done, if you don't press any key, it will stay on the loading screen, and then as soon as you press a key, it will progress. Which is similar to what our original loading screens did. If you remember, the original loading screens would actually tell you to type something, but that was a bit too much, just because it required that you type stuff during the loading screens, and that it was enough of an issue that in particular children wouldn't be able to get through it because they wouldn't know what to do. So I feel like just having it be if you touch any key, it will progress. So what we would probably do is just once you finish loading, we would tell the loading screen to basically show a little prompt that says press any key to continue. So let's go ahead and make a new character. Yes, normal, right, green, yes, and yes. Okay. So we're done. There is no prompt currently, so we're going to have to fix that obviously. But this will let us just kind of, if we want, stay here at the loading screen and just kind of take it in. So now if I can just hit a key, it'll go away. Let's go ahead and I'm going to go no clip. Oh, I'm just going to fly through here so I don't have to watch the wizard cutscene. Okay. And starting with the sewer level, we get actually visually interesting transitions. So now you'll see that we have this stair animation going on. But because it's not going to automatically progress, it lets you do things like read the lore that we've actually laid out. Which I'm still pretty happy about, although it's a little jarring, but it's fine. So again, if I wait and do nothing, it will just continue to do this, but if I hit a key, then it will fade in. So, oh, that's funny. The key I hit was control, which meant that I came in ducking. Okay. I guess that's technically because I think as soon as the level starts, well, as soon as the level is done loading, the player gets instantiated. You can't move around, but you are there, so therefore any key commands you press would be transmitted, I guess. But that's essentially what we would do. So probably what we'll do now is we will go ahead and add a kind of like a flashing coroutine that will show. I guess I can't really show you it because it's going to make my mouse disappear. But essentially we would have like a little, I don't know, thing at the bottom right probably that just says press. Actually, no, it'll probably be the bottom left because that's usually where that sort of thing is. And it would just say press any key to continue. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to want to say loading view, which is actually going to mean view dash loading. Okay, let's turn on our UI. Grab our loading view. Hit OK. And I guess I could also change the loading percentage to say something. So it's like type or press any key to continue. But I think having a blinking label will be a better choice in the long run, just because one, the fact that it blinks means that it's going to have motion, which will draw the human eye towards it, and that's kind of important. Because I want to make sure that I avoid a situation that I had in the first loading screen, which is it's done loading and it's just waiting for you to do something, and you just don't know what to do because you're not looking at specific areas. So having that motion will help alleviate that. So I am going to just go ahead and create a UI text mesh pro text, and then I'm going to make it my font, of course. And let's see. Probably I should give it a parent instead of just having it directly be there, but so I'm going to rename this to status label? No, probably closer to calling it continue label. Okay, now we're just going to say press any key to continue. Okay, obviously that's terrible right now, so let's reduce that. 24, and we will also go ahead and have this be anchored at the bottom left. Okay, and we will also have it just stretch across the entirety of that. We are also going to have it be pivoted at 0y, so that my y offset is not stupid. And we are going to set it to be angled to the left and to the center. That's good. We'll give it a padding of 25 from the left. I think that's good. Padding of, I'm guessing 10. Yeah, that's pretty good. So this gives me a nice bit of padding from the border because when you're doing a menu, it's important that you don't have text too close to a border, or it's going to produce a weird effect where you can't quite read it without straining your eyes. Um, it's the reason, actually, that we have padding in books, why the text doesn't usually go up to the edge of the paper, unless paper is at a premium for things like dictionaries and whatnot. But it's because it makes it harder to pleasantly read. So this is going to be our continue label. Let's go ahead and open up our script here. All right, and for this, I'm going to say, where are you? Probably what I would want to do is right here. No, probably about here. We're going to serialize field, private text mesh pro UGUI, and we're just going to call this our continue label. Pretty easy. And then we are going to want to have two functions that I make. So I'm going to want to have a public void show continue label, and then public void hide continue label. Okay. And for that, let's see. I do have a coroutine that I'm doing here. It would probably be fine for me to do that. Yeah, I'm just going to do it with coroutine. So we're just going to come down here. We're going to say private enumerator. We're going to make it, I guess I'll just call this the continue coroutine. Okay. And then let's give ourselves a blink speed, I guess. Field, private, float, link speed is equal to, let's just say 1F by default, and let's go ahead and tooltip this. Speed, the continue label will link at. And I suppose I also want to have a field, private, vector2, blink range is equal to new vector2, 0.5f, and then 1f, followed by, so I should come up here. Oh, did I not make that? Dang it. I thought I... Or did I not? I don't think I did. Well, that's a shame. Let's find out. Let's see, so we're going to say 0f and then 1f. Okay. I don't remember if this min-max range had... Okay, good. It is for vector2s. That's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure. Cool. So I'll let that compile. Yeah, recently I've noticed that it's been getting harder and harder for me to remember what I have at my disposal at work versus what I have at my disposal at home. Because I've written so many of the underlying systems, and well, obviously I've written all of them at home, and I've written most of them at work, so it's just, it's a nightmare. Oh, interesting. Oh, right, I forgot to do that. That's kind of important. For now, we'll just go ahead and say yield return null. Well, I guess I could probably do that. So we're going to want to say float t is float t is equal to 0f, while t is, how do I want to handle that? Well, let's go ahead and do this. So what I am going to do do is, oh, you know what? Actually, that's fine. I can do it that way. So I'm just going to say while continue label dot game object dot active self. Okay. And then we will simply say t is equal to that. Excuse me. How should I do this? Actually, I think I'm going to move this above the while loop. That way I can do bool reverse is equal to false. Okay. Actually, I guess I would make that true. So we're going to say t is equal to 0f. Reverse is equal to not reverse. Okay. And then all I'm going to do is say while t is less than 1f, t plus equals time dot delta time divided by duration. I'm sorry, blink duration. Or blink speed, I suppose. I guess actually that's fine, so we just multiply that by instead of dividing it. Okay, and again we're going to want to say return null in here. And then we're going to say continue label dot alpha is equal to math f dot lerp from reverse question mark blink range dot y else blink range dot x, then reverse question mark. If so, we're going to go to blink range dot x, and if not, we will go to blink range dot y. Okay, based off of t. So that should get our blinking effect working, and that's pretty much all we need to do. So I can just come back here and do that. Let's go up to here. So show coroutine or show coroutine label. Show continue label. We'll just say continue label dot game object dot set active false. Start coroutine. Continue coroutine. Okay, I'm gonna make this true, and then all I'm gonna do down here is simply call that false. Shoot. That is not good enough, is it? Gross. Okay. Because I don't want to hard cut it. Oy. Which, of course, means that I need to have a second coroutine that's pretty much doing one very simple thing. Private enumerator. Fade continue coroutine. And all I'm going to do is just say float t is equal to 0f. Actually, it's not even going to be that. I'm just going to say while t is greater than 0f. So it's not going to be equal to 0f. Instead, it's going to be just equal to the continue label dot alpha. And then we're just going to say t minus equals time dot delta time. Yield return no. And then we will say continue label dot alpha is equal to t. Then we'll end with continue label dot alpha is equal to 0f, and then we'll just say continue label dot game object dot set active false. Okay, so we're going to come up to here, and then for hide coroutine, where are you? I put you somewhere. Hide continue label, there we are. So instead of doing that, I'm just going to call start coroutine. Hide continue. What was it? Continue is fade continue. There we go. Okay. So that's that, and I'm also going to bump this down to 0 by default. If I haven't, I think I already did that, but okay. So now all of that should give me code that will actually compile. Go ahead and take a drink real quick. All right. So this is our min-max range. Ooh, that was interesting. Funny. We're just going to fade in from 0 to 1. To start, I am going to have my continue label be off. I probably want to just go ahead and have my alpha be 0 to start by default. I think that will help with things. Let's go ahead and move our continue label into there. Nice. And let's go ahead and just disable you. Turn you on. Well, hit apply, I guess. You turn this off. Hit OK. Okay, we're not done yet because there's one more thing that I need to make sure I do, which is so for our main view, or not main view, sorry, text scene loader, before we call while input.getting the key down, we are going to just go ahead and say if show load UI. Oh, you know what? We can just do that in the same call. Oh my god, why do I keep typing things backwards? Okay, so UI.get loading view dot show continue label. Okay, and then we're just going to copy that, move that down to here, get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this, and we're just going to say hide continue label. Okay, so now when we load into our scenes, we should get a loading screen that will last until we hit a key. And once it's actually done loading the level, it will show a little prompt at the bottom left of the screen that says type or press any key to continue. So that should make things a little bit easier for players that want to actually see the loading screens, as well as not limiting the people who don't want to see the loading screens. They can just, go right through it. Go ahead and move it here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do start. Let's do a new, we can continue. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go up. So we get our loading. I'm actually a little worried. I think that's fine. Okay. Well, I was just a little worried that it was going to actually draw underneath everything else, but I think I did put it at the bottom, so it should draw on top. So we'll do press any key to continue. That's fine. The blinking really does help. It does make it certainly a lot more noticeable. We can also change our speed, which I will do to try and get like a dialed in speed that we actually like. So let's come over here to loading container, view loading. We're going to change our blink speed to 2. 2 is probably the better choice, just because that's actually notable. 1 is fine. Dang it, I missed. There's a mosquito around here. So you might hear me clap from occasion as I try to get it. So this is at speed 1, which is about 1 blink per second. Well, each blink is 1 second long, so fade in, that's 1 second, then fade out is 1 second. If we crank that to 2, we're a little bit better off. I feel like that's enough of a momentum that it's going to be a lot more noticeable. So we'll just do that. Check out 1 again. You know what? I'm going to keep it at 1 because 1 does make it a little bit more relaxing to look at. It's not quite as obnoxious, I feel. Of course, I could always just make it 10. God. That'll give people some epileptic fits. So, yeah, I wouldn't go any farther than 2, honestly. And I honestly think that 1 is probably enough. So we'll keep it at 1, just out of curiosity. I want to see like 0.1. Oh, God, no, that's not good enough. So, yeah, so I'm going to keep it at 1. And the other thing that I would like to do, I'm going to continue again. I would like to fix my spawning bug because it is a problem. Oh, and I can maximize on play again. Okay, start. We're just going to go ahead and hit Alright, so you'll notice that when I continued, I was facing down the hallway here. I'm going to get eaten by a grue. I'm going to hit continue. Oh yeah, we get our nice little fancy thing. Oh, interesting. Maybe oh, you know what? We fixed that, didn't we? I forgot. The build I was showing was a couple of months out of date at this point. Probably should make a new build. Well, I'm definitely going to make a new build for GDEX, just because that's going to have new combat stuff in it. Okay, so let me review my notes real quick. Oh yeah, I had someone ask for an invert mouse option, which is something I had not... Well, it's something that I think had crossed my mind, but I just hadn't put any effort into thinking about it. Because I wasn't really sure how to approach it. But if we go to options, game, we have sensitivity, which I don't actually remember if this does anything right now. Freaking mosquito. Okay, so this is... Oh, cancel back. So this is for sensitivity, apparently. Let's go to options. Game. Let's crank that to like 15. Apply back. Zoom. Oh, okay. So we do have that working. Never mind. Let's go to... Oh, that's interesting. It's disabled, but it's not gray. So we're going to turn that back down to 4. Okay. So we would probably put it in here, and it would probably be, I'm guessing, below toggle crouch, but above smooth mouse look. And we would just say, like, invert mouse smoothing, pretty much. Yeah, that's probably fine. So, I'm not sure how I'd want to handle that. I guess what I could do is... Let's go to our game options menu. Okay. Let's see, sensitivity, X button, that's actually not what we care about. Instead, what we do care about is you. Find all references. Go to definition. Okay. Go to definition. Find all references. Game settings, here reference. Okay. So I suppose the easiest thing to do would just be to have an invert mouse option here. I think I can do that. Let's go to definition. Go to definition. Do I have an invert? I don't have an invert, but I can add one pretty easily. Okay. Just gonna start formatting some of my attributes here so they're on the same line. So we'll go ahead and down here we'll say serialized field, private bool invert mouse equal to false. I could probably just call it invert actually. And actually, crap. I don't want to have just one toggle, I want two. Because, well, are there ever invert mouse options for horizontal? Because I can only ever think of vertical. Hold on. But maybe... I mean, I guess whenever it comes down to should I give them less or more options, the better choice is more. So, okay then. So we're going to say samples average.y. That's fine. And then we're going to say times invert question mark negative 1f else 1f. Okay, so we're just going to copy that. And let's see. Paste that. So actually, I guess I'm going to copy that part of it. And let's see, sensitivity, X, that's all fine. Invert. Okay, so that should be all I need to do there. Let's go ahead and go up to Game Options View. We're going to add 2 new toggles, which are actually going to be buttons because of how I have that set up. So we're going to just gonna grab you, paste. So we'll say invert, then invert the mouse Y and mouse X button. Okay. We will go ahead and grab you. So this is going to be invert, mouse Y, mouse X toggle. Okay. Kind of cleaning up my code a little bit here. Okay. So, how do we want to handle this? And is there anything else I need to do? I think we're good there. So, scroll area, scroll rect. Okay, everything's good there. Toggle run. We are going to need a couple of things here. So let's go ahead and start coding these real quick. Private bool, invert mouse X. For now, it's not actually going to do anything, so I'm actually going to need to come to here. So let's go ahead and grab this. Invert mouse X. Invert mouse Y. Go ahead and go up to here. Private bool. Invert mouse X is equal to false. Private bool. Invert mouse Y is equal to false. Okay, come back down here. Invert mouse X. Crouch. Invert mouse Y. Crouch. Should be good. Okay. And then let's go ahead and go to here. We're going to say, there is actually something we need to do here, which is going to be, I think right here, we're going to say public bool invert get return invert, and then set invert is equal to value. Okay. Come back over here. Pretty much just going to grab these two, paste them down again, say invert is equal to invert mouse X versus invert mouse Y. Okay, let's come over to here. Let's go ahead and copy this. Grab you, grab this. Paste that. Make this Y. Then Y and Y. Okay, we're almost there. Still have a few things to do. So it's going to be cached invert mouse X, cached invert mouse Y. Okay, we're going to go down to here. On open, we're going to say cached invert mouse X is equal to invert mouse X. Cached invert mouse Y is equal to invert mouse Y. Okay. And let's see. Oh, geez. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Let's go ahead and grab some stuff here. On
run clicked, grab this. So we're going to change this to on invert X, no, invert mouse X clicked, invert mouse X is equal to not that, okay. Let's go ahead and copy you, come down here, paste you, and Y, looking good, almost done, and we're going to say invert Y. No, actually, inverse mouse X button dot on click dot add listener on invert mouse X clicked. Okay, paste that in. Make that Y. Make that Y. And I think. Oh, I need the hint still. So hold on. Oh my god, this mosquito is really annoying. It's like always just out of my reach. Okay, let's see. Crouch hint, smooth mouse hint. Okay, so I want this. Let's go ahead and copy you. Paste. So we're going to call this invert mouse X hint. Invert mouse Y hint. If true. Let's see. If true, the mouse's X movements will be reversed. Or how about inverted, I guess? Same thing, but with Y. How about instead of X movements, left to right movements, and this will be forward to back movements will be inverted. I guess that's the best way I can think to phrase that. Okay, that is pretty good. I think that's pretty much everything we need there. So let's pull that menu in and actually edit it. And then I think we'll actually have it be set to go pretty much pretty easily. Yeah, I think, I don't know if this weekend was the first time someone's asked me for that. It might have been softly brought up before, but this is the first time that I had a conversation that lasted more than a, hey, do you have this thing? No? Okay. Because the guy was, it's not like he was adamant about having it. It was just more like, because I like to play with that, and I was like, hey, okay, that makes sense. It's not my thing, but I understand why people want it. So let's go ahead and options. Of course, you're not going to give me that. Wow, that's completely empty folders. Okay. Why is it like that? That's really weird to me. Huh. Okay, well, we can get rid of this, I guess. It's all just empty folders. Okay, we're going to come down to here, and we will grab game options. Okay, let's turn you on. Content, scroll bar, which we don't care about right now, content. We are going to duplicate this. We will move it up to the top here. And actually, we'll go right about there. Okay, let's single out our scale, and I'm going to call this invert mouse X button. Okay. To start, it's fine. We can just leave it on. I think everything else will automatically be set up, so we don't actually care about anything. Let's change our label real quick. So we're going to change this from toggle crouch to invert mouse X.
Okay, pretty easy there. Put you here. Why do you keep doing that? There. We're gonna call this inverse mouse Y button. Okay, let's go ahead and turn this on, and we're gonna change this to inverse mouse Y, or invert mouse Y. Okay, we will now add those two event buttons. So there's the mouse X button and the mouse Y button. We do need to, of course, have those toggles real quick. So I will rename them as well. That way they are not confusing. So this is going to be mouse X toggle. Okay. And here is mouse Y toggle. Okay. Collapse that, collapse that. Collapse all of you. Turn you off. Hit apply. Delete, turn you off. And we should be good to test. So let's go ahead and actually hold on. I feel like I've forgotten something because I don't think I'm currently doing anything with this. I'm not. Okay, so I need to... I forgot to assign my actual event listeners, I think. Wait, no I didn't. Yeah, I just need to, on refresh settings, do that. So we're going to say, not crouch toggle, invert mouse X toggle dot enabled is equal to invert mouse X. Okay. Grab this, paste that in there. Y. Y. Okay. Now we should be good to test. It's always nice to have these kind of low-hanging fruits, just because they're obviously not that much effort to address, and they can drastically improve certain players' experience. So, again, I never invert my mouse controls because I think that's weird, but I understand why people would want to do that. After all, I am one of those people that does turn off quote unquote natural scrolling on my Mac laptop because they have the audacity to one call it natural, but also it's not natural. It's going against what we have been doing for decades. Wait. I think I might have got him that time. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit start. We will go to the options real quick. I just want to see if that's working. Oh, you're not. Oh, dang it. Okay, yeah. Forgot to assign the event listeners to that. So let's go ahead. We're just going to do this. We're going to change this from toggle crouch to invert mouse X button. And inverse mouse Y button. Okay. Invert mouse Y. Hint. Mouse X hint. Come down to here. Paste. Okay. I think we're good there. So now that should actually properly display everything. So let's find out. And I think, let's see if there's anything. While it's compiling, that would be a nice low-hanging fruit. No, that's fixed. No, that's something else. Okay, let's go ahead and give that a shot. And pose. Okay, so we're going to start. Let's go to options, game. Through the mouse's left to right movements will be inverted. True, the mouse's forward back movements will be inverted. Nice. I do feel like well, one, I need to make this not be a terrible scroll bar, but it's probably fine. It just kind of sucks because now you can't see the apply or cancel buttons by default. You have to scroll all the way down, which is not terrible, not the worst, just kind of annoying. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel. Let's go back. Let's go ahead and continue. Let's go ahead and adjust those now. So, actually, I guess cancel back. Resume. So this. Oh! Hello. 14 still, huh? That's interesting. Let's go to the game. Did I accidentally crank that? Fly back. Okay. So we have our. This is our normal sensitivity and actual mouse direction, I guess. I don't know what you would call that. So let's go ahead and invert those now. So we're going to go to game. Oh, I need to have that reset every time you open it up. So I'm going to invert mouse X and Y. Down here, hit apply. Back, resume. I swear I did not mean to rhyme. Oh god, it's so weird, but it works. So, oh, that's so strange. I legitimately I can't. Ah! Really hard to walk. God, it's just so weird. So yeah, if I go to the right, I look to the left. If I go to the left, I look to the right. Going up, it's down, and down is up. Okay, well we're gonna get rid of that grossness. Although it's funny because I don't actually think that we're gonna save that. I don't think we've set it up yet for that. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna just turn those off again. Let's come down here, hit apply, back, zoom. That's much better. Okay, so let's go ahead and stop. Now, before we do anything else, I actually do need to come down here, and I need to change it so that when I load, I do load those things. So let's go to, let's see, audio, video, display, graphics, where, gameplay. So I need to set it up so that when we actually load our game settings, we do load in our invert settings, and we need to make sure that we save them out as well. So let's go ahead and go over to here, go to definition, and I'm going to say, oh, look at that, I already have them. Aha! So we will say invert mouse X is equal to gameplay info dot get bool value settings utility dot game underscore invert mouse X followed by false for our default argument. Let's go ahead and paste that in. Mouse Y. Mouse Y. Okay, then we're going to do pretty much the exact same thing, but in reverse whenever we come down here. So we will say, duplicate this. This will be game underscore invert mouse X. Mouse Y. Invert mouse Y. Cool. So that should actually get our inverse mouse controls functioning. The next thing I'm going to do just really quickly is whenever I open up the game options menu, I am going to give it a frame delay to essentially scroll the content. Let's see, I do reference that scroll area, right? Yeah. Am I using you for anything? Okay, good. I was going to say, like, if I'm referencing it, it would probably be to reset its position, but I'm clearly not doing that. So I'm going to come all the way down to the bottom here, and I'm just going to add above awake private IEnumerator scroll delay. Actually, I don't already have that, do I? No. Okay, good. Making sure. Come back here, come back here. All we have to do here is wait one frame, so yield return null. And then we're just going to set our scroll area dot normalized vertical position to be equal to 1F, I believe. Yes. Now, the reason that we have to do this is because Unity requires, well, not Unity, UGUI requires a frame buffer. So scroll delay for all of its elements to be properly rendered and then positioned, which means that we can't actually, on the same frame that we open the menu, we can't just set our normalized value to be something. We have to wait one frame so that everything builds, and then we can execute our positioning. It's very annoying that that is the case, but it is just a factor of life. Fortunately, it is only one frame, which means that things don't look horrendous, and most people won't even notice that because, well, my target frame rate is 60 frames per second. One frame is enough to notice a movement, but only if you're really kind of looking and you're paying attention. I feel like most people are not going to notice one frame's worth of mispositioning, especially if they have their frame rate unlocked, at which point they are going to be potentially up to like 200 frames per second. So let's go to options. I'm going to go to game, scroll down, I'm going to hit cancel, and I'm going to go to game again. So you will notice it. So I'm going to hit game again, and you'll see it like pop. It's very, very slight, but it's there. But so that all works. Everything seems to be saving in. Let's go ahead and invert it, save, and then quit. Then we'll start loading again, just to make sure that those settings are, of course, saving. And then I think we're going to call it a night there. It's a little early, but still kind of in recovery mode after Pixel Pop, so I'm still feeling a little low energy. Let's go to not extras, options, game. There it is. So it did load, or it did save. Cool. So let's go ahead and apply back. That's pretty much it. So yeah, that's a pretty good place to stop for the day. Announcements. I'm probably not going to be doing my Devstream on Thursday or Saturday this weekend because I have Gen Con this weekend, and that starts on Thursday. So, yeah, so I'm probably not going to be doing my Devstream. If I do get away, I will, of course, let everyone know. So keep an eye on the Discord and the Twitter for all that information. But I'm probably not going to be doing that this week. So this is probably going to be the only Devstream this week. I apologize, especially since I didn't do a weekend Devstream since I was out of town, obviously. But starting next week, we should be able to get back into our rhythm again. So, yeah, that's a pretty good place to stop for today. So, as always, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.